Oh, hi, this is Dave here from Whelan Cameras. I'm here again with Adrian Gaynor over from Nikon, and we're here to talk about the Z7 and the Z6, the new mirrorless cameras out from Nikon. The last time you were here, we were talking about the D850.
Yep.
You made kindly a couple of videos on that with us, and we talked about a couple of the lenses. You actually have one of these yourself.
I do.
And we were talking a little while off camera, and Adrian was enraptured with this new system. You were saying you might go as far as buying one of these yourself.
It's on the cards.
Yeah. It's certainly, what we found with this is it's just a very, very nice, very hard to put down camera. It's very, very nicely machined, very solid. One thing that struck me is there's a beautiful viewfinder on it. It's very, very bright and sharp when you look through it.
Beautifully said. It's hard to add to that, but yeah, you've hit on two of the most important points with the camera. When you pick the camera up, for those existing Nikon users, it feels like a Nikon.
Yeah.
So you have some of the same sort of button placement.
Yeah.
The grip is generous and it feels very comfortable.
Yeah.
So for somebody who's going to be using the camera for a long period of time, that's really important. And again, you mentioned the quality of the viewfinder. For those photographers who are used to an optical viewfinder, it might have been a little bit of a hurdle to consider using an EVF.
Yeah.
With this camera, it's no problem. In fact, the more I use the camera, the more I'm thinking, wow, this is really a nice camera to look through.
Yeah. We've had a few people in for the roadshow here, and the overriding sense that people are giving us is that it's very, very nice to hold.
Sure.
And I think, is this your 7th event or 8th event?
I think it's my 8th.
Your 8th event?
Yeah.
And that's been the overriding sense that people have. The prevailing thing is that people are very happy with the build.
It's a wonderful thing to see. You can tell by people's body language that when they take hold of the camera, they'll just want to hold it and feel it, and it does have a great balance. They'll look through it, they'll check the focusing speed and the alacrity with which it can change from near to far focus distance. Smile will come to their face, and you really don't have to sell the camera, it sells itself. It's a wonderful camera.
Yeah. So just in terms of, let's say, even looking at the sizing and the cameras,
yeah,
you've got, that would be this, we've the D810 here, but quite a nice solid camera.
Sure.
A lot of traditional users will really think this is the feel of a good camera, and it'll surprise them when they look at this. This isn't a bitsy piecey miniaturized kit. I mean, there's still a nice shape and size to it.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Well, I haven't seen it, but have you seen that with a grip on it? Have you had a chance to play with the grip yet?
The grip is still in development.
Okay.
There is one on the way, but it's exact size, and I've not had the opportunity to see one in the flesh, so to speak, so no, I haven't.
Okay.
But yeah, that will afford people a slightly bigger purchase here, so for those users who are taking advantage of this amazing FTZ adapter with a bigger Nikon lens, it might be nice to know that you have the ability to put a grip on there and have a bigger hold when you're balancing it with a very long lens. So, but that is in the pipeline, that is on the way.
Okay. And the adapter, when you mentioned the adapter, just for those of us that mightn't be in the know on it, what's the main advantage in that adapter?
Okay.
I mean, most people are probably going to want to buy it with it.
Yeah, well, I would imagine that 90% of the pre-orders that I've seen, in fact all of them,
yeah, you'd want it.
That people are, well, it's a great deal if you get the camera with the adapter in this year. It's heavily reduced in price as a bundled price, and if you have existing Nikon glass, it makes sense to invest in this. Because AFS lenses just work beautifully on this camera. They focus faster, if anything, than on a D850. Okay. Yeah, it's not a huge difference. Yeah. Very surprising, and that's because of the 493 focus points that we have here. They're all hybrid.
Yeah.
Their phase detection and their contrast detection. So a very powerful focusing module built into the sensor itself. So your focusing is accurate, it's spot on, it's quick. And when you use this adapter, all of your AFS lenses, there is zero image degradation.
You mentioned that to me earlier. So what you're getting with the standard lens is what you're going to get with that.
Absolutely.
You lose nothing.
No light loss, no image degradation.
Yeah, I just thought that was important to say.
Yeah, it is.
Because that's not the case with every adapter.
Sure.
Looking at, let's say, the lens system itself then, so we'd have this, the one on the camera itself is the 24-70 f4, really, really nice. And then we have here with the 35mm 1.8. Nikon have a roadmap for the next 3-4 years to keep adding to these. What were your thoughts on the lenses? They're a nice size.
Nice size, nice weight. They feel really good in the hand. Construction quality is beautiful, really. They're not too heavy, but most importantly, they're razor sharp. So obviously the new sort of larger canvas that the optical engineers have had with the bigger mount have allowed them to produce these lenses with such amazing clarity and sharpness.
Okay.
They do have the focusing rings that are now fly-by-wire, which has allowed the engineers to incorporate multifunction capability on those focus rings. So not only is it a focus ring, it can also be programmed to be an exposure compensation dial or an aperture ring in the menu system on the camera. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, the 24-70 is considered to be the kit lens, and it's f4, and it's relatively small and compact, but wow, it's sharp.
Sharp, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were playing with this earlier. There was ongoing demonstrations for a couple of hours before this, and that was the general consensus that people felt, wow, it's quick to focus. When they're focusing in as well, then you mentioned that there was focus peaking inside there as well, that you could basically come in, select what colour you want to focus on, and just it was extremely responsive.
Very fluid,
yeah.
Very quick and easy to focus with manual focus lenses. So for those guys out there that have old AI lenses, they're fine on this camera. They work great. Yeah. If you have AFD lenses, of course they'll work with all exposure modes in manual focus mode because they don't have a motor built into the lens itself. But yeah, old manual focus lenses from the 60s. I've had some guys at some of the road shows brought some of their old collectibles and try them on this camera, and it performs beautifully.
Okay. Look, just two other quick kind of things just to finally illustrate it. There's been a bit of talk about the XQD card slot here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, effectively you can put in an XQD card, and there's talks that there'll be a new compact flash type of express card coming out. What would you see the advantage in that slot is?
Yeah, very good question. What the guys at Nikon decided is to incorporate the card that has the best data rate possible in a fairly small, compact design to keep the size of the camera, compact. And they arrived at the XQD card, which is incredibly reliable. It's not known to failure. It's been used professionally for 5 years in war zones, Olympics, the football tournaments throughout the world, and it's just never known to fail. But also they were very mindful that the incoming media of choice by all the manufacturers, they've all signed off on I think it's called the CF Express.
That's the word I've heard, yeah. And that can hold a lot greater capacity.
And with an incredible transfer speed. I've heard the term 8 gigabytes per second, which is
revolutionary,
phenomenal.
Yeah.
But the CF Express card apparently is exactly the same form factor as the XQD. So, and apparently the pin configuration already exists inside this camera to accept the new CF Express card. All it requires is a firmware upgrade. And Bob's your uncle. You've got your CF Express capability. So that's the reason they chose the XQD card. Yeah,
it helps keep the design very compact as well. So I suppose the final thing just to mention on this is the actual video. I mean, what we're finding now is there's more fusion shooters out there. People really want to go in and incorporate a lot of things in their camera. So if you're looking at your the video capability in that and the lenses, how suited to video is this?
Incredibly suited, all you fusion shooters out there. It's something that a lot of people have been waiting for. Our video has been considered by some to be not quite what it could have been in the past. Although it's always been very good by virtue of the fact that our sensors have been so good.
Yeah, I think when you start talking about the D850, people start saying, okay,
You hang
the
on
video is
now, it's
excellent
producing
here.
really good.
Yeah.
But
So this is a progression and a step
yes,
on again.
it's more than a progression. This is a step change.
Okay.
And you'll have to forgive me, all you guys out there who know more than I do. But I know anecdotally that this camera shoots incredibly good video. Its continuous autofocus in video mode is supposedly amongst the best in the industry. It has 10-bit D-log out, N-log out, sorry, which gives incredible ability to grade from a lot of information. So the ability to produce a very, very fine quality video is right here in this camera.
Okay. And do you know that the lenses then, I mean, this prime, the 35 1.8, they're going to build a few more lenses specifically for video in mind?
Well, of course, the choice of lens to use with video is dependent on the creative outlook of the videographer. Some guys prefer longer lenses, some guys like to shoot video with wider lenses. And the roadmap would suggest that they're trying to take care of everybody's needs. So if you like to use a wider lens for your video, there are wide lenses being brought to market. And similarly, there are longer lenses being brought to market. And remember, for those guys that do shoot video, a lot of them really like the older manual focus lenses because of the filmic qualitative issues or benefits they bring to your video.
Yeah.
And that again is where this would come into play, with easy focus peaking and easy focusing. So yeah, that's another option.
Right, Adrian, just to put you under the pump now and put you under a little bit of pressure, we've a curly question for you. What are the main reasons why you crack open your wallet to buy this?
Oh, it's a tough one. I love my D850 and it's a camera that I've grown to be very fond of. But for me, it's all about image quality and moving forward as far as the lenses available to me. And knowing that this camera shoots, it's every bit the equal of the D850 as far as image quality, and supposedly shoots just a little bit better.
Okay.
Knowing that's a big plus. It's a bit smaller, it's a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
And
So
moving,
the size differential,
yeah. So it is a consideration, especially when travel's involved.
Yeah.
But I think probably the overarching reason why I would invest is for the new Z mount,
Okay.
or Z mount, and the S-line lenses.
Okay.
They are just simply incredibly sharp, and again, it's all about image quality.
Yeah.
And this combination, it's hard to ignore. So I'm going to be right at the top of the pre-order list.
Excellent. Yeah, well, it's lovely to see that this is where they're now going with mirrorless. You know, you can just imagine what it's going to be like in a couple of generations, but it's exciting.
Yeah, they've actually put so much thought into this camera. It doesn't feel in any way like the first venture into a mirrorless camera. It's very comprehensively rounded. All the feature sets are there. Feels great in the hand. It's quick. It's fast, and above all, fantastic image quality.
Yeah. There you have it. Everything you want in a camera, Adrian. Thank you.
Hey.
Pleasure as always.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.